In this video, we're taking a look at Go Collect's hottest comics for the week of July 15th. We got some mainstream characters and some obscure ones for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swaggle. And in this video, we're taking a look at Go Collect's hottest comics for the week of July 15th. Now, for those who don't know, Go Collect puts out a weekly article that analyzes the hottest selling comic books based on movement and eBay sales data. So, like I like to do on Mondays, let's take a look at the books and see what's trending in the market. But before I get into the article for today, if you guys could drop me a like or a comment or subscribe if you're enjoying the content, help support the channel, do one of those things, and I would appreciate it. All right, that said, let us get into this. And of course, this article is written by Matt Tuck. I will put a link in the description if you would like to do further reading, but I'm going to give you my analysis here today. And we got a really interesting list this week. We got some mainstream stuff. We got some really obscure stuff as well. But let us go through the article and let's talk about the books. And like I like to do, let's start here at the bottom, but we got to read the title. Hottest comics for 7/15. Black Cat steals the top spot. Gives you a little preview of what's to come. But let's start here at the bottom. We got at the number 5 spot, Witchblade, number 1, up 990 spots. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is the first solo ongoing series for the character known as Witchblade. Now, Witchblade was a character that was created by Mark Silvestri and drawn by Michael Turner, at least in this particular issue right here, drawn by Michael Turner. And what do you got to say about Witchblade? She's an interesting character, sort of in the Image world of things, has a powerful gauntlet she puts on that gives her super mystical powers. And there's been some interesting traction with her character as of late because she actually had a TV show back in the early 2000s that, people I think who were fans of the character loved, but it wasn't like a huge pop culture success. But there has been talks, about her getting a potential movie deal done or a potential another TV show being made. And maybe for that reason, that's one of the reasons that this book has, kind of made its way onto the hottest comics list here this week. And Witchblade is an interesting character. It kind of ties to that Spawn universe. And there's ultimately been a lot of traction, I think, for a lot of the early Image books and these characters that kind of came out in this sort of 90s to mid 90s time frame. Because, there's still discussion right now, of course, that we're going to possibly get a Spawn movie directed by Todd McFarlane and starring Jamie Foxx. And, who really knows what the plans are with that sort of thing? I mean, are they going to, create a Spawn universe that kind of branches out into other Image characters? Certainly Witchblade has had team-ups with Spawn before. I mean, that would certainly be interesting. Could you imagine an Image cinematic universe where they bring all these characters to life? Perhaps all these, Image books that have been, dollar bins for so many years will actually start to see themselves become, hot books over the coming, weeks and months or so if we start to get more and more Image characters making their way onto the big screen. But Witchblade, a very cool character, one that has a cult following, and currently the 5th hottest comic of the week. And as we dig into the numbers here, we'll see there are 9.8s going around the $150 range, fair market value. You can see the sales here, July, June. So, a lot of people wanting to get their hands on this book, wanting to get those nice, pristine, slabbed copies. It's such a mid-90s cover, in my opinion. But hey, I can understand the appeal. All right, let's go on now to the 4th pick here. And the 4th pick is also very, very strange. This one is Vanguard Illustrated, number 2, up 991 spots. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is the first appearance of a team known as the Stargazers. This is written by Dave Campati and drawn by Dave Stevens by a comic publisher known as Pacific. Now, this one is definitely an obscure 1984 comic book here, and one that even Matt points out in the article, but he doesn't understand in the market what got this book so hot in terms of pop culture. But hey, everybody's going to get their 15 minutes of fame, and that includes comic books. And I can sort of see the appeal here. I believe that Dave Stevens also, kind of like the Witchblade one, has a little bit of a cult following here. I can see the aesthetics on this comic book here, why people want to like this thing, similar to the Witchblade cover. I believe we all know why certain people want to own certain types of books. And Vanguard Illustrated, number 2, definitely a cool one here. I mean, I understand it. People love their nostalgia. People going for these obscure sort of 80s comic books. And hey, who knows? Maybe we're going to get the Stargazers in a TV show or a movie adaptation one day in the future. But as we dig into the numbers here, we will see that a 9.8 selling fair market value around the $90 range. So, we can see here sales in July 2021. He also at the 9.6 fair market value hovering around that $50 range. So, a very, very cheap book. If you're someone who is a big fan of this type of thing, easy to get your hands on a 9.8 slab copy. Hey, why not? All right, let's go on now to the next book here. And the next book is actually Amazing Spider-Man number 196, up 992 spots. And what is the significance of this? Well, there isn't actually a reason that this would be deemed a key, though it is a very classic cover art drawn by Keith Pollard. And of course, this was in the era that was being written by Marv Wolfman and drawn by Al Milgrom. And a lot of people love this kind of era within the Amazing Spider-Man run. We're talking, that sort of 77 to 82 range, Bronze Age time. People really loving the stories out here in the Spider-Man run. And this is just one that I feel like, anything that is Spider-Man, especially if we're talking like sub 200 numbers here, I feel like people are always going to want to have these books in high grade because Spider-Man, of course, is the biggest superhero there is. A lot of people have those ASM Grail runs that they're trying to put together. So a lot of people want to get their hands on these books, even the filler runs, even the ones that don't have significant first appearances. And later on, when we get to the number one book in this article, that might also be a reason why this book itself got hot, because the book that's the number one in this article is only 2 issues away from this one. So maybe there's sort of like a fervor for people wanting to get their hands on this specific era of comic books. And like a fly riding on a dragon's back, number 196 is making its way to the hottest book of the week. And as we dig into the numbers here, we'll see there is a 9.8 selling, fair market value around the $130 range, and then 9.6 drops off to the $85 range. You can see the sales here in July of 2021. So again, people loving these kind of classic covers, loving their Spider-Man. If you can get a 9.8 for a 1979 Bronze Age comic book, why not? Looks nice in the collection and not a bad price at all. All right, let's go on now to the next book. And the next book is a very, very cool one. This is Warlock number 1, up 995 spots. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is the issue number 1 of the ongoing Warlock series, written by Roy Thomas and drawn by Gil Kane. This came out in 1972. And this particular book actually is heralded as being the origin of Warlock. This would also be the book where it was established that the stone that he had is actually the Soul Stone. And this is a very, very cool book. One that I think has been kind of underrated in the market for quite a while. I mean, a lot of the Adam Warlock books have been, very, very popular spec books as of late. Adam Warlock, of course, a very, very hot character when it comes to speculation of who might show up next in the MCU. Of course, they've already laid the foundation in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. We had that post-credit scene where they had the cocoon, and then the character was like, I think I will call him Adam. I mean, if that's not a reference or a confirmation of Adam Warlock, I mean, I don't know what is. I mean, it's possible that they might drop that plot line. There's been discussion of James Gunn saying that, oh, they're going to move away from the Warlock character, but I feel like that's probably a misdirect. It doesn't seem like you would actually put a Easter egg like that into an actual movie. I mean, it's beyond an Easter egg, actually. It doesn't seem like you would have a scene like that in a movie if you weren't actually going to follow through with it. So it feels like Warlock is a very safe spec overall in this market, and a lot of his keys are definitely heating up. One of the only problems with his books is, of course, that he's had one of those first appearances that he's had sort of multiple ins to his first appearance. First, he showed up in a cocoon, and then he showed up as a character known as him, and then he was rebranded to Adam Warlock. So there's a lot of keys that have been commanding the attention of the market. And as I related back to this one, this is one that has sort of fallen under the radar, if you will. But a very cool book, a very great story run here with the Warlock character, and one that is finally getting hot in the market. And as we dig into the numbers here, you'll see this is pretty interesting to me that there actually is a 9.8 selling fair market value around the $15,500 range, sale back in April 2021. That's pretty crazy to me when I see that number. And when you go here down to the bottom, this is a book you won't see slab too often, but this is a book that I see on eBay selling around that, $60, $70, $80 range or so. All right, let's go on now to the hottest book of the week. And this one is a very cool one. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 194 newsstand edition, up 999 spots. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is the first appearance of the character known as Black Cat. Now, Black Cat has been a character heralded in the community. This is one of the fan favorites of all of the Spider-Man sort of rogue gallery of villains that, we have not yet to see in some kind of movie property, and one that it feels like the market is just waiting. We're just dying for Black Cat to make her appearance in a MCU film at some point, or in a Sony film, or maybe even a TV show. I don't think people really care. I think people just want to see Black Cat represented in some kind of pop culture property. And for that reason, this is a book that has been extremely hot over the months and the last, couple years, because, Black Cat is a character that is very, very important to Spider-Man's history, to the Spider-Man character. They've sort of been in a relationship. They've been at odds with each other. They've worked together. And I think Black Cat is a character that everyone feels like could do really, really well on the silver screen in some kind of way. And this book right here, of course, is just, to me, I always talk about this is sort of like the trifecta when it comes to first appearances of characters, where it's a very, very clear first appearance. They're very much prominent on the cover in a cool way, and their first appearance takes place in a title like Amazing Spider-Man that is like, very notable. And I feel like those three factors, whenever you have those three for a first appearance, usually makes their book very, very desirable in the market. And as we dig into the numbers here, we'll see that the 9.8 is suggested fair market value around that $5,000 range. There have been sales here in July of 2021, and the 9.6 also here sales in July of 2021 at around the $1,300 range. And then here at the bottom, Go Collect says that there isn't too many slabs at the bottom. But again, this is a book that has been so hot in the market. Everybody's speculating that we're going to get Black Cat in some kind of property soon, that this is one of those books that, you're going to be hard pressed to find this for less than $200 or so. And specifically with regards to this particular comic book right here, we're talking about the newsstand edition. Now, this is a newsstand edition, but from 1979. And there is a lot of argument over whether or not newsstands around 1986 really should be deemed valuable, because one of the things is that there was actually more newsstands being printed in this time versus direct edition. But then people make the argument that newsstands actually still were, handled more poorly than the direct edition. So even though there were more being printed, there are fewer that are in the high grade. I don't really know. Let me know what you guys think. Later on this week, I think I am actually going to make a newsstand direct edition video, and we're going to have this conversation because I do think that it is really interesting. But regardless, people love their newsstands. People are going for this ASM 194 newsstand edition, and that's going to make it the hottest comic of the week of July 15th of Go Collect. Anyways, that is all I have for this video. Those are the 5 hottest comics of the week. Let me know what you guys think. The very, very strange batch, I feel like, this week. Some obscure comic books. Of course, the Black Cat one, very, very well known. But yeah, I don't know. Vanguard Illustrated #2. Let me know if you guys are fans of that book or Witchblade. Drop me a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.